Welcome to the Abyss.
And last time we talked to Titus Hardie and the Hardie Boys, and we looked at our ledger, and wrote some things in, and almost had a, I don't know, a thing happen. Anyway, let's start off with this. Caustic Echo. Temporary research is +1 volition, a power move. Good on you to have thrown that slip to the wind and walked away, saying, "Not today, Dark One, I don't need your keepsakes, I am not curious. Let the past disintegrate, let its ink wash off into the Bay of Martinez. You're through with it. There is no terrifying splash of stomach acid to fill you with dread, no caustic lack of air. You haven't lost anything incredibly precious, too precious to name. You got shit on a stick, all you need to do is keep that shit balanced on the stick and everything will be fine." Yeah, why not? Let's unlock. We have the point. Caustic Echo, internalize it. It'll take 10 hours, so definitely won't be in this episode. Or maybe it will be. I don't know. But now we have no points. With no points, we need to go about inspecting things. Oh, I know what we can inspect. Well, we have this. The Ledger of Oblivion. This is the ledger you found in the trash. It emits oblivion. A thin veneer of la la la, what I don't know cannot hurt me, covers its pages. You look at it, and it makes you feel surprisingly solid, actually. It bumps my authority and my suggestion. Let's put it in place of the crowbar. We don't need a crowbar, we need to look authoritative. Anyway, interact with the bullet. The bullet mushroomed out on impact. It now looks more like a fanciful jacket button than something that could pierce skin, flesh, and bone. How wonderful!
The bullet is safely sealed away in a plastic bag bearing the RCM stamp. Kim has filled out the label on the bag with the item number, case number, and date and location the bullet was found. Beside his orderly handwriting, the bullet looks especially sad, like a tiny, shriveled head of cauliflower.
What do I do with you, Bullet?
What?
Lieutenant steps closer.
I said, what do I do with you, Bullet?
Well, if I was the bullet, which I'm not, I would say find the weapon that shot me.
Good idea.
If we find who owns it, we will have likely found who used it, possibly to kill our victim. In conclusion, the more we know about this bullet of yours, the better.
Feel the bullet through the bag.
The squashed bullet has some sharp edges where the jacket has split open. It feels cold, even through the bag.
Inspect the bullet closer.
The jacket of the bullet is made of a yellowish metal. It has blossomed out to reveal a dark grey core. The base of the bullet is close to 5 millimeters in diameter.
Look at the jacket.
You can just about make out a few striations near the base of the bullet. Little hairlines, linear. It feels standard.
And the core.
It's quite destroyed. Some of the fragments are still lodged in the wound.
What can you say about the bullet so far?
It's a jacketed bullet, close to 5 millimeters in diameter.
A jacketed bullet. Okay. It would have been shot from a military-grade breech-loading rifle, not from a muzzleloader, like those typically found on the streets of Martinez. Even the RCM uses ordinary unjacketed conical bullets. This is strange. Very strange. I like this, officer. Strange means unique. Unique means incriminating. We need to find the gun that shot it.
Something tells you that won't be anytime soon. This'll have to be one of those epic tasks that's open for a while.
At 92%, we have a similar rifle on hand, and we're aware of the name of the antique rifle we found. It's a 92%. Let's go. Please don't fuck this up.
A rifle, Revolutionary period. Your bullet looks to be an old 4.46 millimeter from the surplus left over from the turn of the century. Probably an antique or a retrofitted antique.
The make?
The 4.46 caliber was widely used with the Belmargrave rifle, a Revacholian manufacturer. The BM dominated the battlefields of the Insulindian theater of the anti-centennial revolution 50 years ago. Incidentally, you have just such a rifle with you. The dusty old thing you found hidden in the basement below the commercial area. It's unusable, sadly. If it were, the bullet would probably fit the chamber.
Is anyone still making these rifles?
No, but Zeliger, a major firearm manufacturer, ended up with a surplus after the war. So there are still a lot of these old military rifles floating around, usually broken. The quality was appalling.
Who uses Bell McGray rifle these days?
Antiques enthusiasts, guerrilla fighters in distant countries, a few lucky jamrock bangers. You're looking for the same thing you found in that hidden weapons cache, only in working order.
What are you thinking? Bullet?
I think I know where this came from.
Okay. And?
The shot probably came from a Bell McGrave rifle.
An antique. That makes sense. There can't be many breech-loading rifles floating around in Martinez, or anywhere in Ravachol, really.
That's probably a good thing.
I have to hand it to the monarchs. It's quite admirable that they took the advice of criminologists last century and banned the use of breech loaders in peacetime. Some new RCM recruits get impatient with their muzzle loaders once they've trained with military-grade weapons, but they realize it's worth it in the end.
Worth what? Getting shot?
Imagine if everyone, cops, citizens, had access to firearms that could shoot multiple rounds without pausing to reload. After the first shot, the second, third, and so on come much easier. But back to the investigation.
Insert political statement here. I'm not going to touch on that, because it don't matter right now at all. Let's see.
Yes. Something mysterious is afoot with this antique bullet type.
Mysterious? Okay. Either way, we'll know when we find the gun.
The bullet has nothing more to say. Put it away. Let's look at the other things. A handwritten note you found from the giant ice bear fridge. It still bears some of its marks from the fruit-shaped kitchen magnets that was used to secure it in the refrigerator door.
The note is written with a blue pencil on a piece of lined office paper. The kitchen magnets have left spots on its surface.
Does it say anything interesting?
Lieutenant leans closer to read the crumpled note over your shoulder.
This is tangential at best, but the lieutenant's detective instinct is still active.
Read the note.
Someone has scribbled, S. I can't believe the off-site copy is still here. The illiterate ginger kid keeps stealing stuff from the studio, so I had to hide it somewhere safe. You'll find the filament memory with the off-site copy in the frozen ice cream maker. Please take it home, ASAP. It's important. I'd do it myself if I lived in a civilized place with a freezer. Take care, Sully Swaff.
Sully Swaff? That's how you say that, eh? Oh, okay.
I wonder who wrote that note.
Someone who owns a radio computer? My guess is as good as yours, officer.
Remind me again. What's a filament memory?
It belongs inside a radio computer, storing its memory. It's like a tape. You listen to disco tapes, right? It's like one of your disco tapes, only for a computer.
It's like the production schedule you found. Only this one's an off-site copy.
Who's the illiterate ginger kid?
Really? You don't have a single guess?
Oh, you mean Kuno?
Oh, I'm sure that child would love to get his hands on the filament memory. Even if he doesn't know what to do with it, he'd probably try to pawn it for speed, based on our encounter.
Do you have any idea where the frozen ice cream maker would be?
I don't know. I assume it's somewhere close to the ice bear fridge.
Didn't you see one right next to the breaker box?
Yeah. Yellowman mug. This broken-eared mug somehow made its way into the Whaling and Rags dumpster. It depicts a person of Samoan descent frolicking in a field of saffron flowers, buck-toothed and grinning feebly-minded. It seems to be a cheap knockoff of some colonial-era antique.
It's just a racist mug. What's there to read here? Not much.
There's quite a lot to read into here, actually. Look at all that content.
Oh boy, here we go. What are you going to say about a broken, tossed-away mug that you dug out of the garbage?
Let's see, it's an example of prejudiced or pushing in the face of a merchant, this is your innate mug will be useful. By denouncing it, I can earn political capital to mask my badass hustling, fraud, and embezzlement. Just a funny mug. Can anyone laugh anymore? I don't know. Maybe it was just a funny mug. I don't know. Fucking hell, mate. It's just a racist mug. What's there to read into? Sure, let's use it as an example of what not to do. Why not?
But it was in the trash. Why not just call it out when you see it? Or do some volunteering work? Just finish your case, detective.
Yeah, whatever. Oh, we have a thought.
What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate, political opinions somewhere in Martinez.
This is because I keep saying none of the above to political stuff, isn't it?
It's also about that, but it's also more. Perhaps it's the hangover. Perhaps it's a temporary surge of serotonin, but something tells you it's time to become a citizen of the Kingdom of Conscience.
First, where is this Kingdom of Conscience?
It is not a place. It is a moment in time that can only arise in the right circumstances. In all of human history, it's only been achieved a handful of times.
And how do you bring about those circumstances?
Incrementally.
Ooh.
History's greatest catastrophes have been brought about by people trying to make the world a better place. Too quickly. That's the genius of Dolores Day. She recognized that progress is meaningless if its gains are lost because of instability. Real, lasting change can only come about gradually, increment by increment.
But what about all the things that are wrong now?
Tisk tisk. Just because you live in the present doesn't mean you have the right to place your needs above the needs of the future. You may never live to see the Kingdom of Conscience. Your children may not. Even your grandchildren might not. But that's no excuse not to keep working. What sang-froid? What benevolence?
Wait, is the Kingdom of Consciousness really about doing things or just preserving the status quo?
Do you believe the status quo is preferable to chaos and bloodshed?
I mean, yeah.
There you have it. Sometimes holding the line is progress.
Okay, but what's the Kingdom of Consciousness actually like?
The kingdom is difficult to comprehend, and even more difficult to describe. Partly because humanity will need to discard many of the categories that define and limit it today. The Kingdom of Conscience is post-capitalist, post-national. It's also post-industrial, post-ideological, and even post-sexual.
Sounds incredible. Alonzi, let's go there right now.
Slow down, Mr. Reasonable. Did you miss the part about compromising and taking things slow?
Oh, right. Then let's get there eventually?
That's right. Remember, real democracy is just around the corner for Revachol. When that real democracy kicks in, a long time from now, we are all going to be so much happier.
Well, we can get to that as soon as we have another point. But we can look at it for right now. The Kingdom of Conscience. -2 half-light. I don't think I have any half-light to give. Pretty much. Let's see. Heartache is powerful, but democracy is subtle. Incrementally, you begin to notice a change in the weather. When it snows, the flakes are softer when they stick to your worry-worn forehead. When it rains, the rain is warmer. Democracy is coming to the administrative region. The ideals of DeLorean humanism are reinstating themselves. How can they not? These are the ideals of the Coalition and the Moralist International. Those guys are signal blue, and they're not only good, they're also powerful. What will it be like once their nuanced plans have been realized? Not to get too deep into politics or anything, but I tend to find myself middle of the road. I can agree with either side so long as the point is actually reasonable. Honestly, just don't be a dick and let people do what they want, as long as no one's hurting anybody, physically that is. And I don't mean getting offended, because that's bullshit. But otherwise, you know, just fuck off with your shit, mate. I wonder. Let's go meet the Wild Pines rep. Moving, moving, moving. We're moving to a boat. Moving, moving, moving. Girl choke on my scrot. What? Moving, moving, moving. We're all going along until we all drown by the end of the song. Yay! Shadows on the water. Green plants under the calm surface.
A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good morning, officers. I'm Joyce.
She extends her hand in greeting.
Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM.
She steps closer and holds out her hand over the railing. Well, 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 and well. Her voice sounds pretty much the same.
Joyce L? What does the L stand for?
Baton, my maiden name.
Her bony hand dangles from the sleeve of her oversized raincoat.
What gave us away?
Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
What is implied here? That you're a drunk?
I'm not a drunk. I'm a police officer.
Of course you're not. It was only a joke.
Oh, shake her hand.
I'm glad to see you here.
Her grip is tight and cold. She seems relieved.
Like steel. There is strength there. If she wanted, she could sink her nails deep into your skin.
Yes.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will. Gladly.
Yeah, her voice acting sounds the same, just redone lines.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
Yeah, I'm crazy. What?
Kill me.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief even. The lieutenant is hatching some scheme. It happens quicker than a shooting star. But did the lieutenant just wink at you?
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
Yes.
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
You're on a boat?
Why, yes I am.
She looks at the deck under her feet. Green and white sails flutter overhead.
Not a lot of people on boats, are there?
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around?
There is a pinch of defensiveness in her voice, but it is playful.
Wait, we're on an archipelago?
Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou.
Caillou? I thought we were in Revachol.
We are. And the city of Revachol is on the island of Le Caillou.
Still, I haven't seen anyone else sail a boat around here.
I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Oh, that was super defensive.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Oh shit, it's snowing hard.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands.
She's having a good time arguing against the law. Too good, perhaps.
Does she have a name?
The boat? No. It is called Cor de Leyte 19, because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word "it" feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name.
Personally, I hate naming inanimate objects. And, well, I shouldn't say that. Because I call my computer, my monitor, Ari, and my tower, Diva. So I shouldn't talk. Not at all. But naming things like cars, now that's stupid. Fucking hell.
Cool. But, you both really need a name.
Okay. How about Cordelechi 19? Why?
She taps on the side of the boat. It makes a hollow sound.
Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordelechi, and its hull is 19 paces long.
How about Dolores?
Why Dolores?
I just like the name for some reason.
Well, it means nothing to me. I think I'll stick with the factory name. But thank you for the suggestion.
Okay, but what kind of boat is it?
It's a pleasure craft, a 19-pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business.
How do you like it?
My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Do you have a license for this boat?
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly Fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
Well,
I think I have a handle on the boat thing.
Good.
Tell me all about Wild Pines. What do you do?
What we do? I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
So what do they do?
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
She enjoys talking about the company. It would not hurt to inquire more.
How much money does Wild Pines have?
I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
A billion?
What exactly is a billion?
It's a number, officer. A big one.
What is it made of?
It's made of 1,000 millions. A million is made of 1,000 thousands.
Numbers like that mean nothing to me.
Yes, past a certain point, numbers begin to seem imaginary. But they are quite real for the 72,000 employees who depend on Wild Pines for their paychecks. A conglomerate the size of Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving and growing, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It is a tremendous responsibility.
Where does Wild Pines get all these billions?
They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago, when pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lormantang on behalf of the suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it.
right.
What does such a huge system want with a place like this?
You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners? Who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo?
8% of all cargo in the world. That's quite the endeavor indeed.
I mean, it is.
There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
We've attained a thought. We can have sex. I mean, we can do that later.
What can you tell me about this strike?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
Wait, what if I want to hear about trade secrets?
First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus.
An octopus? I will slay it!
Good luck is only kept in place by the vested interests of half the civilized world, including your own.
What the ma'am means is that the Emergencies Act and the RCM both get their authority from the coalition government.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike?
Yes, your role in this precisely.
I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place.
Wait, she just admitted that the lynching and the strike are connected.
Now they won't even let me into the harbor. There's a 2-meter 20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
So the strike is connected to the lynching.
Yes, I believe there is a connection. But that's a subject for later.
Her eyes narrow.
She's resolute in this, yet you sense that she wants to tell you. You'll have to earn her trust first.
So, as to the racist behemoth, you mean Measurehead?
Yes, Jean-Luc Measurehead.
She leans back and rolls her eyes.
How are the talks going before the lynching?
Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
He looks at his notes.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
What happened to this Gaumont?
Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it?
She pauses to compose herself.
Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see.
Okay then.
Yes. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
What are their demands?
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes, every worker, a member of the board.
Let's see. Seems like they have no idea about business.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board.
Most of them probably don't know what that means. I sure don't.
Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
That's pretty funny, I have to admit.
They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution.
What are you going to do?
I'm not sure. Naturally, I assumed that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags, a disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
Right. Truly, such a system would be absolutely illogical. Imagine your job, whatever it may be, so long as it's a part of a company with a hierarchy, required the absolute decision of every single person that worked there. Nothing would ever get done. Humans are, well, needless to say, terrible at working together and agreeing unilaterally. Unions are important, but you still need someone to speak up for you. That's what elections are for. And let's drop the politics right there and then.
Ah! The scabs at the gate. Did you put them there?
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the union refuses to?
Don't let her answer it herself.
Let's call them strikebreakers. You put them there, right?
If these strikebreakers were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not yet, at least.
What do you think of Everard?
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first.
Really?
Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
If you were to prick him with something sharp, you could see it oozing out. A knife, maybe? No, a rapier.
You sound like you're going to take a rapier to him.
Oh, heavens no. We get along just fine. Yet, now that you mention it, I can't stop imagining that black treacle just dribbling down his double chin.
She stops and smiles.
That's Everard, all right.
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar.
I remember hearing something about this Edgar.
Have you seen him?
No.
Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues.
What about the union itself? Outside the Brothers Clare.
The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The Brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
She hesitates, looking for the right expression.
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, we are forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother.
She turns to you.
And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is...
I prefer not to have an opinion on these things.
Of course, officer.
One more thing. You said something happened in the elections.
I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore. Or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
This forewoman, her name?
This forewoman. Her name?
Sadly, the company records do not even give a name. She's just forewoman in private correspondence. Holly. I don't even know if it's a sir or given name, and I don't have access to the Union's files.
Some kind of extortion, probably.
Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a Union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
That's all I need here. Let's change the topic.
Of course. How else can I help?
Oh, well, by the way, I've talked to Everard Clare.
You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare?
Oh my shit. Hero of the workers' movement, bloated rainbow socialist, do business. He's reasonable. He is not the champion I've chosen. Swear fealty to you in the cause of capital. Feeling the international community does not approve of it. It's not important if I like him. I was doing my job.
I didn't.
Oh, come on now. He has his uses. How else would he have stayed in power all these years? Or wait, actually...
She answers her own question.
Corruption. That's how he's done it. Fantastic. Verm-like. Corruption. Reaching into the bowels of the earth.
She looks at the ground and nods.
The position of my unusual colleague does not reflect official policy. I hope you understand. The RCM does not pick sides.
Of course. And I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a corrupt verm myself. However, if you felt like discussing something, how could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be gossiping.
Don't fall for it. It's a ploy to get you talking. The honey-mouthed syllables, the smiling, the conspiratorial jokes, all of it.
Yes, your disgusting necktie agrees completely. Let's gossip.
I'd rather talk about something else for now, if you don't mind.
Of course, Detective. Should something come up later down the road, don't be afraid to drop by for a chat.
Calm down, necktie.
Until then, is there anything I can help you with?
What can you tell me about this lynching?
Quite a few things, I'm afraid.
She falls silent for a moment, contemplating something.
The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Shit.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41, Detective Dubois. I'm afraid Harry doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
Oh, and what happened to yours, Detective?
She returns the lieutenant's badge and turns to you.
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
Remember when my partner told you I recently suffered from an unusual medical episode? My lost badge is related to it.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode?
Well, I could have eaten it for all I know. I don't remember anything. This world, this city, nothing.
Oh dear. I suppose this does explain some of the more curious turns in our conversation.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
What kind of arrangement would it be?
I mean, favors for favors. A dirty alliance of some sort.
So how do I negotiate? A dirty alliance. Sympathy for your amnesia?
Easy. Just offer her a favor. Like I said, nice and dirty.
Surely there's some other way to demonstrate our law enforcement credentials.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something very tangible.
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Like what?
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason.
They're profiting from this trade.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over the right stones. Or you can recover your badge. Though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause.
Don't have to be so mean.
Detective, a word in private before we continue.
Excuse us for a moment, madam.
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective.
How did you hope it would go?
Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchman.
Oh, so we're henchmen now?
This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation.
What? Do you propose that we don't investigate the drug trafficking?
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we're siding with the Union, or that we're on their take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done, and demand for her information on the lynching.
Let's get back to her then.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Okay. Tell me about this alleged drug trafficking.
It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samaran Isla into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL, and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff.
Let me get this straight. The materials come from Samara to Revachol through the terminal?
Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut.
And you want us to investigate?
Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dock Workers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
Am I going to need bolt cutters for this?
Unlikely, officer. I'm talking about the lorries. Once the ingredients reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers, well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they may be vulnerable. Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment.
She gives you a knowing look.
Her irises are light green, like the river Esperance in bright daylight, upstream where it's clearer.
I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you.
You'll be indebted to her, in a way, but one step ahead of the Union in another.
It's no coincidence that the lorries are stranded there like that, is it?
No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However,
She pauses, looking to the sea.
this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue.
She looks north.
Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable, the weary.
Well, at least this solves one mystery.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Tract and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand.
Why didn't you come to the RCM earlier?
We did. On more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers.
What proof do you have that the Union is involved?
How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves.
So you think the strike is being funded with source ingredients for drugs?
Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
It sounds like she tried looking into it herself, but she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in.
Okay. I've made up my mind about the smuggling investigation.
Yes?
We will take this case, probe the drivers, see what it yields.
Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something. It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance.
She takes another long sip from a seemingly bottomless thermal cup.
You seem smart.
She's not going to talk about this. Like, do you know about the tattoos? Well, it's related to the strike. Whatever.
You seem smart. I need someone to give me a lowdown on this reality we're in.
This reality?
She pulls her hood closer around her neck.
It's related to that medical episode. I have trouble remembering even the most basic terms of reality.
Ah, yes. The episode. Sounds like an acute case of encephalopathy now that I think of it.
She puts down her thermal cup and looks at you.
Don't be phased, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality.
We may be here a while then. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
Right.
Where are we?
We're in Martinez, baby.
Baby?
A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed.
I'm a disco holdover myself.
Aren't we all?
And what is Martinez?
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour. North of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year.
Tell me more about Martinez.
I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders.
A brief spike of longing in her upright body. The dots under her eyelids shake.
This place used to be a province. A workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets.
You were here as a teenager?
Yes, I was slumming it with some girlfriends of mine. We had boats and... Don't hold it against me. The boys certainly did not.
Oh my. You mentioned a sea. What sea is this?
It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean.
Are we near the ocean?
Yes. We're on an island in an ocean. The world's largest body of water. The Insulindic.
Vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
What's the name of this island?
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed over pebble amidst a great blue sea. Misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the river Esperance. We're in the delta of this river, on the 6th branch. The Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her.
Okay. That's Martinez. What's Revachol?
Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city.
What kind of city is Revachol?
The great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
What makes Revachol great?
History, detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries.
Okay. Who built this city?
The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Semenine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed.
Oh, Semenine, not Semenine. Okay.
When was Revachol built?
In the DeLorean century. 380 years ago.
And why will it resolve history?
They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men.
Why here?
We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people. In the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is.
So, we're pretty much at the center of the world.
Oh, we're quite a way off. About...
She points across the water where the skyscrapers rise.
A sparkle of lights on the horizon, like morning stars above the curvature of the planets.
22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Look to the sea.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
Say nothing. Observe the large body of water swelling. Cold.
She observes your eyes scanning the horizon, then breaks the silence, slowly. This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
This
Yeah.
has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask, about even more fundamental aspects of reality.
Yeah, but I want her to give my lowdown, if you know what I'm saying.
Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Ma'am, Messier will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true, ma'am?
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
But won't I be lazy if I don't do it all now?
Oh, of course not. You are already diligent for getting this far, and diligent boys remember where they left off.
Fucking condescending.
Indeed. I'm always at your service.
Yes, RCM authority comes from Coalition. RCM uses unjacketed ammo. RCM Kim debrief done. And that's oof.
Fine. That's all for now.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
No, thank you. That's all for now.
Of course, Detective. Take care.
So, we have two potential thoughts, and our fair weather is almost done. First, jamais vu, derealization, with no research bonus. Revachol Special Administrative Region, Le Caillou, The Insular Indian Ocean, Coalition Government, Insular Indian Mission Command. Name after name, and none of them is familiar. They seem real, but something is wrong. You feel like a kid looking at stickers on the fridge. Trouvant, the Apricot Company, World Games 34. You can almost see your hand reaching out for them. Scratch at the corners, see if they peel loose. This feels like the most important of all the thoughts. The one you truly must complete. The 15th Indo Tribe. Wild Pines, Feld, Coopery, Tricentennial, Villes, and La Salle. Names of Revacholian Indo tribes spring into your head, set loose at the mention of wild pines. Royal monopolies, octopuses, and swordfish, most of them gone now. YBP, Expander, Saint Bati, Brightest Star, LUM, Resplendent, East Insulindic, Alter, and a Classette. But isn't one missing? Wait, no. There were only 14. Why do you feel there was a 15th Indo tribe? Well, I know what my points are going to be used for, but let's just call it here then. Why? 'Cause it feels like a good place to stop it. So, what do? We examine the bullet, and we know everything there is to know about it. Awesome! And, we talk to Joy. Yay! So next we're going to be dealing with, the, pile-up, or whatchamacallit? The, lorries. We're going to be dealing with the lorries that are just stuck inside of the... whatever. I don't know. Words are hard. Bye!